हरत्वं संसारं द्रुततरमसारं सुरपते हरत्वं पापानां विततिमपरां यादवपते
स्वामिन् नमस्ते नतलोकबन्धो कारुण्यसिन्धो पतितं भवाब्धौ मामुद्धरात्मीयकटाक्षदृष्ट्या ऋज्व्यातिकारुण्य सुधाभिवृष्ट्या स्वामिन् नमस्ते स्वामिन् नमस्ते स्वामिन् नमस्ते स्वामिन् नमस्ते। लोकस्य सद्यो विधुनोति कल्मषम् तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः। यत्कीर्तनं यत्स्मरणं यदीक्षणं यद्वन्दनं यच्छ्रवणं यदर्हणं लोकस्य सद्यो विधुनोति कल्मषम् तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः। विचक्षणाय चरणोपसादनात् संगं व्युदस्योभयतोऽन्तरात्मनः विन्दन्ति ब्रह्मगतिं गतक्लमाः तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः। विचक्षणाय चरणोपसादनात् संगं व्युदस्योभयतोऽन्तरात्मनः विन्दन्ति ब्रह्मगतिं गतक्लमाः तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः। तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः।
जय गुरु जय गुरु जय गुरु। So yesterday Krishna was born and Krishna was brought to Brajabhumi by Vasudeva. There Vasudeva kept him by the side of Yashoda. Yashoda also had given birth to a small girl, tiny girl, who was Yogamaya herself. But during the delivery process, she became so tired and she was so sleepy that she never knew whether a girl or a boy was born. With the influence of Yogamaya, in Gokula also, in Vraja, everybody was asleep. Nobody came to know anything. And when Yogamaya's influence was over, everybody got up and they found Yashoda has given birth to a boy. There was Ananda everywhere. Nandagopa and Yashoda, they had not had any child for a long, long time. Nanda was the Raja in Vrajabhumi, and his kingdom the Brajabhumi, everybody was very happy, living peacefully with joy, grazing the cows and the calves. But they had one sorrow, that their king, Nandagopa, did not have any child. When Yashoda showed the signs of pregnancy, they were all waiting when the delivery will take place. Everybody wanted a son, and now they find a son has been born. They did not know anything about Vasudeva coming and exchanging the two children. So you can understand what festivity took place in Brajabhumi. Everybody was jubilant, delighted. And Nanda was very delighted. He was a Mahamana. He was a great-minded person. So, delighted by the son, he was overwhelmed. The word used in this shloka is Jata Ahladaha. He was overwhelmed with Ahlada. And immediately he wanted to do the purificatory rites after the birth of the son. What are we listening? We are listening to Shukadeva. We are there near the Ganges shore where King Parikshit is sitting at the feet of the Muni Shukadev, folding his hands, tears in his eyes, and he is saying, "Please tell me about Krishna. Please tell me, where was he born? What happened to him? What was his sport?" And he kept on saying, "O Rishi, don't think that because I am in Prayopavesha, I am tired. Don't think that my buddhi and my grasping power and retention power is less. Although I am not taking any food, although I am not taking any drink, I am not feeling tiredness at all, neither in my body nor in my mind and intelligence, because you are pouring Amritavat Krishna Katha in my mouth. Through my ears, I am drinking the nectar of Krishna Katha. Nectar. So, I am not tired." So, when Parikshit was so eagerly asking, Shukadeva also was very eagerly telling him all about Krishna, and he has just completed telling him that Krishna has been born. You know, Shukadeva also was completely immersed in bhava, immersed in the thought of the Lord, the Supreme Lord, who has come down onto the earth and has taken birth, and in the coming days he will be sporting in this earth. He will be roaming about in Brajabhumi. All the places, all the fields will have his footprints, and they will also have the prints of Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. Now he describes the festivities in Brajabhumi. Nandadeva, he himself took the purificatory bath, dressed suitably in beautiful dress, ornaments, and he invited the Vedic scholars for chanting hymns and giving blessings. According to rules and regulations, the birth ceremonies and purificatory rites were done. Then Jata Karmas, Pitridevarchana, all were done for the children. The Pitris, that is the ancestors and the gods, were worshipped. He gifted many things. See, a child was born, and that too a son, after so many years. And he was a very noble-minded, very He had a mind which was very expanded. So he wanted to gift everything. He gifted to the Brahmanas 2 lakhs of well-decorated cows, 7 hillocks of sesame seed, which were covered by gold-bordered cloths, studded with gems. And Shukadeva tells Parikshit that, O king, all this King Nanda did for purification. And he gives a message to Parikshit. Kalena snana shauchabhyam samsarais tapasejyaya shuddhanti danai santushtya dravyanyatmatma vidyaya. Shukadeva said, O Raja, know for sure that by passage of time alone, material objects get purified. Objects like land or something like that. If it's not a good land, you leave it alone. By the passage of time, it will become purified. Body gets purified by bathing. Dirty places get purified by cleaning them. By doing purificatory rites which you are doing for your sons, birth is purified. Then Brahmanas are purified by sacrifices. When they do yajna, they are purified. Wealth is purified by giving dana, by gift. If you have a lot of wealth, you must give out, give charity, give that money for the use of many people who do not have. Mind is purified by satisfaction and contentment. And jiva, human beings, they are purified by Atma Vidya, knowledge of the self. See, Shukadeva started giving replies to Parikshit. And what was his basic question? What should a man do when his death is imminent? He is telling him many stories, but those are not stories. Through these stories, he is giving the lessons of life. He is giving the lessons by which, pursuing which, one can become liberated. And that is why you will find when he is narrating stories, in between he is giving such instructions, such valuable guidance as he has given now this shloka. Kalena snana shauchabhyam samsarais tapasejyaya shuddhyanti danais santushtya dabranyatmatma vidyaya. Then the Brahmins, they pronounced lot of blessings. The musicians came, they started singing songs and hymns. Many others were chanting the history of the lineage. And kettle drums, dundubi, varies, percussion instruments, all sounded together. Nanda's palace was beautifully decorated. In Brajabhumi, all the houses got decorated. They had colorful flags, flower wreaths, banners, festoons, decorations everywhere. Toranas were made on the streets. Then, in Brajabhumi, there are lots of cows and calves. They are like their children. So bulls and cows and calves were anointed with turmeric mixed with oil. They were decorated with mineral paints, peacock feathers, flower wreaths, silken scarves with golden chains. This is how even the calves and cows were decorated. The cowherd men, the gopas, dressed in costly silk garments, turbans, various ornaments, they started going towards Nanda Gopa's palace carrying gifts. Cowherd women, they also dressed up, beautiful dresses, bejeweled ornaments which were shining. Ornaments were there in their necks, in their hands, in their ears. When they were walking, their earrings were swinging so much that as if the earrings want to go first and see this little Krishna. They had collyrium in their eyes and kumkuma and saffron powder smeared on their faces, flowers decorating their hair. They were heavy-hipped, their breasts were quivering as they walked, but they were in great haste to go to Yashoda and see Yashoda's little boy. They wanted to bless him. They were all friends of Yashoda, so they were really very, very eager to go as soon as possible. The gopis sprayed turmeric powder. When these gopikas, they were going on the roadside, whoever was there, they carried turmeric powder with them and sprayed on everybody to announce auspiciousness. The gopas, they were rejoicing, and they also sprayed to each other milk, dried milk, curd, butter. When I was reading this, I was feeling they had dressed up very well. Why were they spraying with all these things? And there is description. And the commentators have spent so many pages over that description, how they have sprayed each other with what? Milk, dried milk, curd, butter, and sometimes coming and smearing the faces of each other. As we do during Holi, we smear the faces of each other with color. Some colors will be black, blue, green. Nobody will look very beautiful, but that beauty is not counted. What counts is the beauty and the delight in the heart that they were carrying. So they were all very delighted. And great-minded Nanda, he gave as gift to everybody, the gopas, the gopis, those who were the musicians, the Brahmins, whoever came there. He gave them clothes, ornaments, cows, money, to the satisfaction of everybody. You know, in the commentary that I was reading, to the satisfaction of everybody is written in the shloka. In the commentary, it is said that people started saying, I don't want anymore. I don't give me anymore. To that extent, Nanda was Muktahasta, he was giving. Rohini, Vasudeva's wife, who was sent to take shelter when Kamsa started torturing Devaki and Vasudeva, you must be remembering that she had taken shelter in Vasudeva's house, and Balarama was born to Rohini just 8 days before Krishna was born. Krishna was born on the Ashtami, and Balarama was born just 8 days before, on Amavasya. So, Rohini also wore beautiful dresses and ornaments, and she was moving around very freely. She was happy here, and she was welcoming all the women guests and making them sit. So that from that day, it started the prosperity in Gokula. Everybody was happy. And we will see what happens when the children grow up. One day, Nanda Gopal, they had to go and give tax to Kamsa because their small kingdoms were under Kamsa and the capital was Mathura. So everybody had to go and give their taxes, pay tributes, etc. What will these people give? They had only milk and milk products. So carrying cartloads of milk and milk products, Nanda Gopa went along with some cowherd men to Mathura and paid his taxes. Now Vasudeva got that news that he has come. Ever since Vasudeva has gone and kept Krishna there, Vasudeva and Devaki did not know anything. What happened to Krishna? So they were a little anxious to know. But they cannot reveal this anxiety to anybody. They are not supposed to tell anybody. But so he went and met Vasudeva. Actually, both of them were very intimate friends. and they met each other after a long time. So after the mutual greetings, Vasudeva is saying that, by very rare fortune and good fortune, one meets one's dear and intimate friend after a long time. And I have met you after a long time, Nandagopal. I feel as if I have taken new birth. Durlabham Priyadarshanam. And he says, I feel as if I am newly born. I am newly born. In this world, it is very difficult and rare to meet intimate friends. He also said, just as leaves, grass, etc., which are flowing in a current of water, they come together, but they cannot remain together for a long time. And they go their own way. Similarly, men of diverse karma, they also come together, but cannot remain together, and they have to separate from each other, however dear and intimate they may be. So our case is like that. We were very dear and intimate. For some time we were together, and we have separated. Our ways went in different ways, and after a long time we have been able to meet. After all these greetings and everything, Vasudeva asked Nandagopal about the welfare of his son from Rohini. He said that my wife Rohini is in your place and she has given birth to a son. I hope both of them are okay. I hope this boy is considering you as your father and behaving with you in that manner. He also expressed sorrow over Vasudeva and Devaki's children who were all killed by Kamsa. He could not disclose to him about Krishna's birth, about Yogamaya, about the exchange of children, and also could not disclose to him the evil plan of Kamsa to kill all children who were 10 days old. So he had to keep all that secret to himself. But he told Vasudeva in an indirect manner, my friend, you came here to give taxes. That job is over. You have met me also and we have spent some time together. Now don't delay. Go back to Vrajabhumi as soon as possible. There may be some disturbances there. Now, Nanda started back. And Nanda was thinking, as far as I know, Vasudeva is a very truthful person. Why did he say that there may be disturbances? So he was helpless. He was going back. He could do nothing. He was away from Vrajabhumi. So he started calling Lord Narayana, Sri Hari, and started praying, let everything be all right in my house. Utpadat ashankitaha harim jagama. Being anxious of disturbances, he started praying to Hari. Meanwhile, Putana, as we saw the other day, after the ministers gave ill advice to Kamsa, it was decided and a scheme was formed that all the asuras, rakshasas, rakshasis, who can change their form, who can go anywhere they like, they will go and kill children. So Putana was sent in that mission, and Putana was going from one place to another killing children. Her way was to poison her breast, take a form of a beautiful woman and go into the inside quarters and take a small baby and feed with the breast milk. Here she has been killing some other children also. She reached here, not knowing anything. When she heard that there is Krishna, she went and did the same thing and tried and taking Krishna in her lap, made Krishna suckle her. She never knew. Krishna sucked her in such a manner sucked her prana away. So Putana started shouting, "Leave me, leave me, leave me. Enough, enough, enough." But little Krishna, oblivious of anything, he was sucking. That beautiful form changed into Putana's actual form, huge Rakshasi. And she went up to the sky, but ultimately died because she could not breathe anymore. And she fell on the ground, destroyed many plantations wherever she fell. Everything happened in front of Yashoda and other Gopa and Gopis. Nanda Gopa was not there. So they ran to see what has happened to their child. All along they were praying to God. When they reached that place, they found like a blue lotus, a small child is playing on the chest of Putana, moving and playing with the arms and legs. He was carried by the mothers, and purificatory rites were done. Nanda came, and seeing this, he thought that, oh, how did Vasudeva know that this may happen? Like this, Krishna also was attacked by Shakatasura and Trinavarta. Every time, somehow, he escaped and he was saved. None of these people, neither Nanda nor Yashoda, thought that Krishna has some superhuman might. Every time they thought, because we pray to Lord Narayana, we do service to him always, he is okay. This is what they thought. But Nanda called the Brahmins and did some purificatory rites. Yashoda called the Brahmins and mantras were chanted to ward off these evil influences. Nanda Gopa also got ceremonial rites to be done, yajnas were done, sanctified water was sprinkled on Krishna, Vedas were chanted, medicinal herbs were applied on his body, sacrificial offerings were made in sacred fire. The infant was blessed by priests and Brahmins, and everybody was given lot of gifts by Nanda Gopa. And this is how the days passed there. Now, after some days passed, both these brothers, they were to be named. They didn't have any name so far. Vasudeva sitting in his own home, he used to think about his two children, two sons. But he did not have the fortune to take them in his lap, do anything for them. He was counting days and he found that 100 days have passed and now the naming ceremony has to be done. Now these boys were Kshatriyas, but both of them are growing in Yadava Kula, the cowherd people. The priest of Yaduvamsha was Gargacharya. Normally, Gargacharya will be naming them. But how to make Nanda agree to that? Because Nanda doesn't know anything. So, Vasudeva went to Gargacharya and told him everything, all that he knows, and said that, please, Lord, go there and somehow see whether you can do the naming ceremony. So one day, Gargacharya reached Brajabhumi. Seeing him, the Mahamana Nanda was greatly pleased. He got up from his seat with folded hands. He saluted, prostrated, worshipped the sage and made him sit somewhere on an asana. And he pleased him with very sweet words. With all this, he asked Gargacharya, O Holy One, please tell us what we can do for you, you who are self-fulfilled. You are Brahma Purna. You are filled with Brahmananda. For that Brahma Purna, what can we do? Still we would like to do something for you, serve you. So please tell us. And he also said, Mahad Vichalanam Nrinam Grihinam Dina Chetasam Nishreyasaya Bhagavan Kalpate Nanyatha Kvachit. Mahad Vichalanam Nrinam Grihinam Dina Chetasam Nishreyasaya Bhagavan Kalpate Nanyatha Kvachit. He said, O Lord, when holy men visit the home of a householder, householders are always afflicted by many kinds of anxieties and fear. When holy people step into the homes of householders, then that becomes a great blessing for them. Because these holy people will come and tell something devotional, something spiritual, and elevate the minds of the householders, telling them to be devoted to God so that they are rid of fear and anxiety. So when they come, holy people come, there is all around welfare for a householder. You have come here, so we are blessed. Then he prayed to him. We know that you are the founder of astrology. You have great knowledge in astrology and science of astrology. So I pray to you, it will be befitting if you name the two children. Vasudeva wanted Gargacharya to name, and when Gargacharya came, Nandagopa by himself said, prayed, oh, you have come to our house, we are so blessed. It will bring about all round welfare for us. So please, you name these two children. So Gargacharya said, see, I am widely known as the priest of the Yaduvamsha. And if I do the purificatory rites and naming ceremony for your children, it will be widely known by people. There will be a suspicion in Kamsa's mind that maybe this child is Devaki's child who has been born to kill him. So it will be very difficult. So we have to do this naming ceremony in such a manner that nobody comes to know. Nandagopa said, I will arrange everything very quietly. We will not even tell anybody in our Brajabhumi. We will hold the ceremony and you chant appropriate mantras and give them names. So Gargacharya, on a very auspicious moment, named the two boys. He said, looking at Balarama, he said, Gunaihi Surhidaha Ramayan Rama iti. He will be always with his gunas, with his characteristics, with his virtues. He will be always delighting his friends and relatives. So he is Rama. He will also have excessive strength, Baladhikya. So he will be Bala. Both together he will be called as Balarama. He is also named as Sankarshana because he will bring about unity amongst the Yadus. So he will be called as Sankarshana also. And this young boy, he has had many births. In every age he embodies. In last 3 births, he was born. Once he was white, another time red, another time yellow. This time he has Krishnatam Gataha. He has taken birth with a hue which is dark in color. So let him be known as Krishna. He will be known only by Krishna. He will have many other names. given by many others, but his main name is Krishna. So, this boy Krishna, who will become very dear to the men of Gokula, will work for the all-round welfare of everybody. All difficulties that you people will face, he will be able to solve them. Just as Asuras cannot do any harm to Vishnu's devotees, no enemy can overpower the devotees of Krishna. And he said, O Nandagopa, this child of yours is Narayana Samaha in his gunas. He will have guna similar to Narayana in prowess, in fame and other excellences. Nanda was very happy. He felt blessed. He felt fulfilled. And saying all this, Gargacharya left. The two boys were growing, initially in the arms of the two mothers. Then slowly they started crawling. Kalena brajatalpena gokule ramakeshavau janubhyam sahapanibhyam ringamanau vijahratuhu. Beautiful. We have come to that stage of Krishna's life where he delighted everybody. As Gargacharya said, that your son will be delighting everybody. And then we will now see what he does. As time passed, slowly Rama and Krishna started crawling with the help of their hands and feet. So they would be crawling. They were crawling where? Initially the mothers were bringing them only up to the veranda because they were very small and they may fall down onto the courtyard from the side of the veranda. So the mothers were always with them. When they would come and crawl in the veranda, it is Brajabhumi, in the courtyard, the cows and calves will be brought before they were taken to grazing. So when the cows and calves would come, they will look at these two children and their eyes will become soft with love and affection. They will keep on unblinkingly looking at them. Meanwhile, mothers will take the children away inside. These cows and calf, they would not like to move from there. They will keep on looking. Their eyes will start shedding, not being able to see the two children, and their udders will be shedding too because of the love and affection for the children. They will stand there and cry, mooing and mooing. With their tears, with the milk that they were shedding, the courtyard would become very, very slushy. Now, this was what was happening when one day when Krishna was crawling and Krishna was crawling inside the room. He saw on the floor is so polished, he saw a lotus, and seeing the lotus, he thought of taking the lotus. Small boy, crawlingly he has seen a lotus, so he wants to take it. But when he tried to take the lotus was not coming into his hand. What was he seeing? He was seeing the reflection of his own face. And not being able to get the lotus, he started crying, looking at the mother. These were the things that were happening, giving so much of pleasure to the mothers. Tabangri yugma manukrishya sarisripantau ghosha praghosha ruchiram brajakardameshu tannada hrishta manasau anusritya lokam mugdha prabhitavad upayeturanti matroho Tavangri yugamanukrisya sarisripantau. The two children, when they would crawl, they will crawl and try to compete with each other. One will be holding the feet of the other, trying to hold, and the other will try to release it and go forward. And their crawling was like the crawling of snakes. When they crawled, the anklets would be making very beautiful sound, and the sounds will be louder and louder. Ghosha praghosha ruchiram. This ruchiram, this sound of the anklets were very, very beautiful to hear. And where were they crawling? By that time they have become a little bigger, so they were not ready to be confined to the veranda alone. They had come down to the angan, the courtyard. So they are crawling on Vraja Kardameshu. Why Kardama? How the slush has got formed in their inside courtyard. One is that the cows are shedding tears and cows are shedding milk. Another is whenever the cows came and they were to be taken to graze, if they found the children playing there, crawling there, they would refuse to go out to the fields. So they will be sometimes beaten by the cowherd boys and men with a stick. They will try to take them out, but the cows will turn around and come back again. If they are beaten, then they will sit down there, refusing to go from there. So they had to be made to sit there. The cows and calves will sit there, looking at the children playing, and naturally when they are there, they will be constantly passing urine and dung. So with that also, the courtyard used to become very slushy. Now these two children, not only that they were feeling they would hear their own anklet sound. If anybody went past by them, and all the gopikas leaving their household work used to come and be there to see how they are crawling, how they are playing, what is happening, because they all were full of some unprecedented feeling of delight. So they would come. If any gopika or maybe one or two gopikas passed by, hearing the sound of the anklets, they would feel that my mother is passing. So feeling thirsty also for milk and feeling that mother is going, they will start following those gopikas. And the gopikas will try to lift them up. When they try to lift them up, they will look at their faces and their lips will start swelling, understanding that this is not my mother, fearful, and they start crying. So then the gopikas will take them and give them to the mothers, Rohini and Yashoda. Here in these slokas, mostly about Balarama and Krishna together has been said. So where it is my son and where it is your son, nothing like that. Always the two children and the two mothers have been described. Tanmatarau nijasutau grinaya stuvantau snuvantau pankankaraga ruchiravupa grihyadobhyam datvastanam prapibatosma mukham nirikshya mugdhasmitalpadashanam yayatuh pramodam. Tanmatarau nijasutau grinaya snubantau. Now the mothers have taken them in their lap, and mothers' breasts are also shedding milk. Their dresses are becoming wet. So the mothers will sit down and keep the children on their lap, and the children also immediately they will lift the mother's dress and start suckling. However, the children are very dirty because they have been crawling on this Vrajakardameshu. So mothers will look at them and say, "Do you always like this slush? Why do you go into the slush? You can crawl this side, don't go that side." The children, they do not know how to speak. They will only look at mother and smile, nod, as if they like this slush only. Created by whom? Created by the cows and calves. They like this slush only. even better than chandan, even better than sandal paste, even better than agaru and other incense. So the mothers, they will start giving them milk and look at the face of the children with lot of delight, lot of love. Madhuram madhuram vapurasya vibhoh, madhuram 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 vadanam, madhugandhi mridusmita detadaho, madhuram 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 madhuram, madhuram madhuram vapurasya vibhoh, madhuram 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 vadanam, madhugandhi mridusmita metadaho, madhuram 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 madhuram. This was their condition. When they looked at the children, whether they were giving milk, whether they were seeing and watching the children play, they only saw sweetness, nothing else, nothing else. And that was the condition of all the gopikas also. All the cows, all the calves, they were only seeing Madhuram in these two little children, nothing else. Yarhangana darshaniya kumara leela vantarvraje tadavalah pragrihita puchchaihi vatsairita tatastata ubhavanu krishyamanav prekshantya ujjita griha jahirshur hasantyaha. These gopikas would come rushing to see these boys crawling, playing, smiling, sometimes crying. And sometimes these two boys, when they see a calf, they will go runningly to the calf, because the calves are also small like them. You know, children understand who are children. So they also go to the calves, not so much to the cows. And seeing the calves' tails, when the calves will, swing the tail, they will suddenly catch hold of the tail. The calf, poor calf, it did not know. It will get startled, it will jump up and it will start running. These boys will not loosen their hold. They are still holding on, so they will be dragged by the cows. Seeing that scene, the gopikas there, they will try to save them, take them in the laps and stroking them at the back. They will bring. Initially, the gopikas, when the two boys will be holding on to the calves and getting dragged, initially the gopikas will encourage them a lot, saying, "Oh, Veera, you are a Veera, so much valor you have." But when they see that the two children have started crying, they go and help and rescue them. And while bringing them back, they will say, "Oh, what a shame. When you grow up, don't you have to go and graze cows? You are afraid of these cows and you got defeated by these calves. When you grow up, how will you go to graze the cows?" So these children are not understanding anything. So they will simply cry, and the mothers will come and take them. The mothers will again take them in the lap and give them milk. Yashoda will be telling Krishna that the calves have become very naughty, I think. They are disturbing you too much. From tomorrow we will not allow the calves to come here. And the boys will nod their heads like this, because they want the calves to come. They want to play with them. Like this, the mothers, they were in a dilemma. They thought, we are not able to do our work at all. We are always having to go behind them and save them from sometimes thorns, horns, fire, sword, water, birds, everything. So how will we do our work? Now, actually that was happening. These boys, they became so restless that sometimes they will go to the big cows with horns, who were sitting down try to climb onto the back, and everywhere, whichever animal they saw, they want to pull the tails. So they will be pulling the tails of the cow, holding the horns of the cow. Cows are actually very delighted and they are very loving. But the mothers from a distance feel that suppose the cow harms my child, so they will run and remove the children. Then, if anywhere fire is there, the boys will go and try to catch hold of fire. Fire, also looking at them, will rise up and start dancing. But the mothers would nearly faint seeing that. Sometimes, if there was a snake passing by, they would go and catch hold of the snake. The snake will spread the hood and dance. But so fearful mothers become. So the mothers were not able to do any household work. The monkeys and dogs also, they will go to the monkeys and drag them with the hand. They want to take the monkeys inside their house. But somehow the monkeys are his friends. And dogs also, they will pull the tail or put their hands inside the mouth of the dog. Though these animals never harmed them, the mothers were not peaceful. The mothers were always getting anxious and worried. They will go to the well. When they had just started walking, they would go to the well and peep inside. And there's a lot of chance to fall. Sometimes when peacocks come, peacocks were also very fond of them. Especially all of us know that peacocks and Krishna, they have a relationship. So peacocks will come, they will coo and dance. But they will go towards the peacock, they will stroke the peacock's body, and ultimately they will pull the tail. I think they were pulling the tail of everything. The cows, the calves, the monkeys, the dogs, the cats, and peacocks, whomever they saw having a tail, they were pulling the tail. Now the mothers would feel, suppose the peacocks come and strike them with their beaks, what will happen? So all this was going on. There was a garden next door. Sometimes they will go there. That was, the trees were having a fence around them with barbed wire. So they want to just see and experiment what is there. They will put their hands and head also through the barbed wire and then unable to retreat. So they will start crying, "Mother, mother." So these are the things which Bhagavatkara Vyasadeva has described about the crawling Krishna. But there is a beautiful story about the crawling Krishna and a Brahmin. I want to tell you that. It's a long story. I hope I'll be able to finish in time. When I first read it, I read it in one of the commentaries. And I felt, as such, when I read the commentaries, I feel how much these commentators have imagined. How much they have imagined. And only when one loves somebody, one can imagine like this. And whenever I read something, sometimes I become absolutely quiet, absorbed, just reveling into what I have read, the scenes coming to the mind. Sometimes I would like to tell it to others. Most of the time, I am telling this to Swamiji and Nuthan Swamiji, especially when they are taking food. And while telling them, I find, along with the commentator's imagination, my imagination also has got mixed. And it comes out as a flow, seeing Krishna everywhere, seeing the little child everywhere, as if he is everywhere dancing and smiling. One day, a Muni, a Brahmin, named Kanva, arrived at Nandagopa's palace. He used to come there quite regularly and accept their devotional service. But for some time now, he has gone to some solitary place to contemplate and on his Ishtadevata and do austerities. When he came, Nanda and Yashoda greeted and welcomed him. They washed his feet, gave him asan, arghya, madhuparka, worshipped him, did pranam, and both of them with folded hands said, "We are very, very blessed." Now, Yashoda, after a little while, she went and brought Krishna. Krishna at what age? Crawling Krishna. You know, this story is written during the explanation of one of the shlokas. I did not read out the shloka because it's taking a lot of time. This story has to be finished. I cannot leave the story halfway through today. So I did not chant that last shloka where it says that the mothers always thought they are having to protect him from these things. And there is a word dvija. Dvija means Brahmin, dvija means bird also. So, in the commentary of that shloka, this story I found, where the commentator writes that we can also think that the crawling Krishna had an encounter with a Brahmin and not the bird, peacock. So, or maybe apart from the bird, peacock, he had an encounter. So Yashoda brought Krishna in her lap and said, placing the boy at the feet of the Brahmin, she said, "For a long time we are deprived of our worship and service to you, my Lord. So you do not know that meanwhile I have been blessed by a boy. And this is this boy. Please bless him for long life, and may he be blessed to serve holy men like you." Now, this Brahmin did not know, because he did not come for a long time. He did not know that boy was born. There was festivity in Gokula. He was very pleased with the news, but thought that since there is a small child is there, now Yashoda will not be very free to serve. Yashoda used to, whenever this Brahmin or whoever used to come, Yashoda used to do the service herself. She will not engage the servant maids to do that. She was very faithful. She had a lot of devotion and faith and do everything very well. Now this Brahmin started thinking that now this boy is there, Yashoda will be very busy with her boy. Also, she will be unholy and impure because on and off that boy will be passing urine and stool and Yashoda will be impure by that. So it is better not to eat here. Let the boy grow up and then I will come. I will tell Yashoda that I will not be able to take food here, I am going. When he said that, Yashoda started crying. She fell at his feet and said, "You have always blessed us by taking food here. Today what mistake have we done that you are depriving us of that blessed service?" Brahmin said, "Yashoda, now you have a child and you will be too busy to look after me. So I think that I'll come some other time, after some time, when your son has grown a little bit." Yashoda said, "O Lord, my son will not make any inconvenience for you. Our first and foremost duty is to do Narayana Seva and Seva of the Brahmins and Sadhus. After that alone, we will look after our child." See, this was the culture for householders. First, the gods should be served, then Sadhu Mahatmas, then only one should look after the family. So, Nandagopa and Yashoda also, they also followed that practice and culture. So she says, "By the grace of God and you all Mahatmas, I have got this child. So without doing service for God and your seva, can I remain engaged in only looking after my son? By the blessings of you all, In the whole of Gokula, everybody loves my child. So I will not have to look after him, as you are thinking. Look there in the courtyard. So many gopikas are there, and my child also will be looked after by them. By that time, the child had crawled and gone there. So Yashoda is saying that, see, already he has gone there, and see how he is playing there along with them. In great delight he is playing. The Brahmin watched. Vrajarajanandana is playing with the gopikas in various sportful ways. The child's sweet sports captivated him with an unprecedented bliss. He could not understand what this bliss was. It is not something normal, something very unusual, and as if it was different from every other delight. He thought, oh, I have not noticed this child well when Yashoda kept the child at my feet. What sweetness! Seeing him once, it makes me feel like looking at him again and again. So I am becoming darshanalalasaha. I am becoming greedy to look at him. I am not able to take away my eyes from him. He thought, let me agree to Yashoda's request and take food here itself. I will be able to see the child's fascinating sports for at least quite some time. Yashoda's child seems to be very special. His sports are captivating and enrapturing. He has not given any reply to Yashoda yet, but he is thinking all these things in his mind. Because Yashoda had told that no inconvenience, all others will look after him, please agree to take food here. Meanwhile, this is happening, and the Brahmin is thinking in his mind. And looking there at a distance, looking at the small child playing with the gopikas, he is captivated. He is thinking in his mind, look, the child has embraced the calf with the left hand, and with the right hand he is stroking the calf. Meanwhile, the child has gone and embracing a calf with the left hand, and with the right hand he is stroking the calf. The calf is also enjoying it with half-closed eyes and stretched out legs. The calf is liking the stroking so much. With half-closed eyes and stretched out legs, the calf is lying. What an enchanting scene this is. Suddenly, the child is running off. Arey, what happened? Why is it leaving the calf and running away? Seeing a peacock. A peacock has come. Oh, seeing a peacock, now he is running. The peacock also is coming towards him with the neck stretched out and cooing. Now, many peacocks are coming. Oh, where from all these peacocks are coming? All are coming with their necks stretched and all are cooing. So many of them have come now and they are dancing around the child. The child is sitting in the middle, enjoying their company and moving his body this way and that way. Oh, what sweetness! Are, what happened? Why are the gopikas running towards the boy? He was looking so beautiful with the peacocks around him. Now these gopikas have gone there. There, see, the peacocks have gone away. He is thinking all these things. Peacocks have gone away. They have got afraid, I think. But the birds don't seem to want to go. They have flown and sat on the compound wall and they are looking at the child unblinkingly with great affection. The gopikas stretched out their hands to lift the child, to place him near their waist. They wanted to take the child, but the child is refusing to go to them. Instead, the child is crawling speedily and going away from the gopikas. The gopikas are running behind him and he is running away, smiling and laughing. The child's anklets and waistband is making such sweet sound. Oh my goodness, the child is coming towards me, he says. It is coming towards me. Maybe it wants to come to its mother. Mother is standing by my side. There, he has gone away again. All this he is seeing and in great delight, he is enjoying it. Ah, now he has got caught by the gopikas. All the Vrajanganas have circled him and are not allowing him to go anywhere. They have circled him and they are standing in such a manner, I am not able to see him anymore. But I want to see him so badly. I am so eager to see him. Look at them. Why are they are circling him? I am hearing they are clapping. Maybe he is dancing. But I am not able to see what to do now. The boy is so beautiful. The sweetness of his gestures is so incomparable. So how beautiful this dance will be, which I am not able to see anymore. What are these gopikas doing? Why are they guarding my vision? Like this, he is talking. Yashoda actually had requested him to stay back, and the Brahmin had not given any reply. Brahmin was lonely looking at that courtyard and seeing this boy playing. Now, Yashoda said again that you have not given any reply. Please agree to stay here. Why are you quiet, Thakur? I will not allow you to go from here without food. I will catch hold of your feet till you agree, she said. So the Brahmin said, I do come to your house and take food here. For some time I could not come, but I cannot ignore your Shraddha and Bhakti, your yearning to do service and seva, and your request. I cannot ignore it now. So many times you are telling me. Actually in his mind, he feels that let me stay here and see the boy. So you make arrangement for my food, but see to it that it is not delayed. I would like to do my puja in a quiet, solitary place, puja of my Ishta Devata, offer him some nivedyam, which I will cook myself, and I will eat that prasadam and leave as soon as possible. Yashoda was delighted. She went and took bath. She cleaned up one of the cow sheds, smeared cow dung on the floor, made a new oven, everything she is doing. Who is she? She is a queen actually. She is Nandagopal, Raja, his wife. But she is doing all this sadhu seva with using her own body, mind, everything. She brought fragrant milk from the cows which are Trinacharini, which eat grass, Padmagandhini. Their milk is having smell of lotus. These cows she has milked herself, and she kept the milk in a pure new earthen pot near the oven. Yashoda brought from the storeroom in which items for Narayana Seva is kept fragrant rice, jaggery, camphor, and a pure and new vessel for cooking, a ladle to stir. She kept all these things near the oven. She drew water from the well herself, and that too she kept ready. Golden vessels for offering the food to the Ishta Devata and later eating, water pot, all those she gathered and kept there properly. Then she came to the Brahmin and with folded hands said, Thakur, all the materials necessary for your cooking I have arranged and everything is there. As you have instructed, I have tried to do like that. The Brahmin was all along sitting and watching the child's sport. While Brahmin was not thinking about his cooking at all. He was sitting there and looking at the child. He was not wanting to get up actually, but he had to. So, he had a great wish to see the Vrajarajanandana just before he left. But these gopikas, they circled the boy so well that he couldn't have any vision. So anyway, he got up and he looked back, but he didn't have any chance. So he started imagining how the boy must be playing there with his sweet gestures. With these thoughts and imaginations of the sweet Balalila of Vrajarajanandana, he went to the cow shed. Yashoda went ahead to show him the way. She washed the feet of the Brahmin and pointed to the room where the Brahmin could do his worship. That was the time when the cowherd men had gone for grazing and the cowsheds were all empty, so that place was very quiet. very solitary. When the Brahmin went inside, Yashoda brought firewood and fire to light the oven. Seeing all the arrangements, Brahmin was very happy. With folded hands, Yashoda said, "We are householders, O Lord. Our minds being engaged in householderly activities, there are a great chance of making mistakes. It is our bold attempt to try to do seva for you. If we have made any mistake, please forgive us." Brahmin said, "Yashoda, even though you are a householder, I do not find any possibility for you to make a mistake. I have always known your mind is more eager to do seva for gods and Brahmins than engaging in the affairs of the house. I thought that now that you have become a mother of a small child, you will be busy and you will be unholy by touching the stool and urine. So that is why I said that I will not take food. But now I find that my apprehension was absolutely baseless. I have come to your house many times earlier and accepted your hospitality. I know your hearty seva parayanatas or service very well. But this time I am feeling that after getting a son, your heartiness, your yearning for seva and attention and alertness, your heartiness, your yearning for seva, your attention and alertness to serve has increased tremendously, much more than what you were. Generally, it is common that everywhere, those who do not have children and those who do not have money, they worship God and Brahmins. But once they get some wealth and children, they slacken in their bhakti. But for you, whatever bhakti and shraddha you had when you did not have a child has become deepened and more with the arrival of the child. With the grace of Narayana, let everything be all right in your Brajarajya. Let there be lot of prosperity. May your son live a long life. May all your wishes be fulfilled. And may you live happily with Paramananda." This is what the Brahmin with great delight said. Yashoda, feeling very blessed, with folded hands said, "We feel that we are not up to the mark in our service. Please bless us that our wealth, our prana, our child, with our friends and relatives, may we always be engaged in the service of God and Brahmins." My dear devotees, you are listening to a story. All that we hear is some instruction for us to follow. This is what we should be. Our service, our worship for God should come and should be the foremost in our lives. And then everything should follow. The Brahmin said, "There is no mistake or inefficiency on your part, Yashoda. I find that all your heart and wealth is truly engaged in not only Narayana Seva, but also for Seva of Brahmins. May auspiciousness grace you. I have got all the necessary items for cooking. I don't need anything else. I will spend time in this solitary place contemplating on my Ishta Devata and cooking for him. Now you better go. You have been here for a long time doing my seva. Your child must be tired by now and must be needing breast milk. So you go and feed the child. I will call you when I need you." So Yashoda prostrated at his feet and went to the courtyard where little Krishna was with the Gopikas. Actually, the Gopikas were also waiting to see when Yashoda will come back, because they have left their houses early in the morning. No work has been done in their house. So they also wanted to go, because since Yashoda was not there, they were looking after the child Krishna. Seeing Yashoda come, they told the child, "There, your mother is coming." Seeing the mother after a long time, the child, who had become tired by now, wanted to jump into the mother's lap. And Yashoda also stretched out her hands and arms and said, "Come, my dear son, come." And lifting him up in her arms, kissed him many times, sniffed his forehead with great affection, and sat there giving breast milk to the boy. The dress of the mother had become wet with the milk, which was shedding because of the love and affection for the child. The child lifted the dress and, putting the mouth on the nipple, started sucking. Yashoda was looking at the face of his son unblinkingly. The curly hair on the forehead was looking beautiful. With her hands, she was trying to arrange the disheveled curls. The child was already tired, and now, with suckling of milk, started feeling sleepy, and slowly his lotus-like eyes closed. His grip loosened, and Yashoda, seeing that the boy has slept off, lifted him and took him inside and put him on the baby cot. Now, in the cowshed, the Brahmin had started cooking in the Goshala, but strangely, he was not able to concentrate in his work. Again and again in his mind was floating the Bhuvana Mohana Anga Shobha, the beauty of the form of that child, which enchants the three worlds. Extremely sweet Balalila with the Gopikas. He started thinking, I should have asked Yashoda to make arrangement for cooking somewhere near the courtyard so that I could have seen that boy while cooking. Or I could have asked Yashoda to come and sit nearby so that while cooking I would have seen the boy. Anyway, now let me do my cooking and my puja quickly, and I'll go there and I will ask Yashoda that I will, after bhojana and all, I will stay here for some time. She should arrange for some place for me to rest, from where I can see the boy. Thinking so, the Brahmin lighted the oven, placed the vessel full of milk over it, adding rice, jaggery, etc. He started stirring the milk with the ladle. He added camphor. After some time, when the payasam was cooked, he poured it on the golden plate, and to make it cool, he started fanning it with a hand fan. This he has cooked for whom? For as Nivedyam for the Ishtadevata. So he cleared up the place and kept the asana for the Ishtadevata, Jalapatram, and imagining that his Ishtadevata is sitting there, he offered the cooked payasam to him. On the payasam he had placed tulasi leaves for holiness. Later he went out, closed the door behind him, and sat outside and started chanting the mantra of Balagopala, which he chants always, and contemplated on the form of his Ishtadevata, the Balagopala. After his worship got over, he opened the door thinking that the offering to the Lord was over and now he would be able to take prasada. But he was stunned and surprised. He saw Yashodanandana seated on that asana of Ishtadevata. The little boy has somehow crept inside, and he is sitting there with his right thigh on the asana and the right foot and left hand and the left thigh on the ground. And with his right hand, he was taking payasam as he wished. With the sound of opening the door, Yashodanandana got startled and stopped eating. The vessel remained in his right hand. Half the payasam was in his mouth and half of it was in the vessel on the floor. His eyes became fearful. He started when he looked at the face of the Brahmin. At the first sight, the Brahmin was surprised and he thought, what is this? This is my Dhyana Dhyeya Balagopala Murti, he thought. Every day I am contemplating on this murti alone. But very soon that bhava disappeared and he got annoyed with the boy. Hey, where from have you come? And you have spoiled this nivedyam that I had given to Ishtadevata. Where from this restless boy come into the room? He looked around and did not find any opening. So he thought, while I was busy cooking, maybe the boy would have entered and remained hidden. And after I have gone out, he is coming and he is eating. As he thought this, his anger started becoming more and more. This naughty, mischievous boy has spoiled my offering to my Ishtamurti. Yashoda left the boy and went to her household work. She should have thought that the boy should not have been left alone. Yashoda must have thought, should have thought. The Brahmin with angry voice started calling, Yashoda, come and see what has happened here. Now, after making the son sleep, Yashoda also, out of tiredness, had gone to sleep by the side of the cot. She suddenly got up and hearing the sound, she ran to the cowshed and asked with folded hands, have you had your bhojan? Are you calling me to give water to wash your hands? The Brahmin became angrier. His eyes became red. He was nearly shouting, what? Are you joking with me? Am I calling you to give you water to wash my hand? Your mischievous son, see what he has done. He has spoilt my nivedyam, which I had offered to my Ishtadevata. Yashoda looked inside and understood what great calamity has taken place. Her restless son has brought about this obstacle to the Brahmin's worship and bhojan. She became miserable. She started crying. She started hitting her forehead, anxious that some great inauspiciousness will now fall on the child. Now this Brahmin will curse us. What will I do? How can I save my child? He started telling the boy, with Lord Narayana's grace, you have escaped from Putana, Trinavarta, Shakatasura. Now who will save you from this Brahmin's curse? She fell at his feet and washed those feet with her tears and said, I beg for my child's life. Please, do not be angry. Please, don't curse him. Piteously, she was saying. With the fear of Amangala, she was overwhelmed and started shedding tears profusely. Seeing her like that, the Brahmin's anger left him. He said in a sweet voice, no inauspiciousness will fall on your child. My dear mother, don't fear. He is a small child. He does not know what is good and what is not. How can I become angry with him? But anyway, I have told you that it will be difficult to take food here and worship. So, I better go now. I will come when your child becomes older. Let there be kalyana for all of you, fulfillment of desires. Let your child live long. Let him bring ananda to you. But please, let me leave. Yashoda caught hold of his feet and said, that cannot be. As long as I am alive, I will not allow you to go without taking food. That will bring so much of inauspiciousness to my family. Please don't do that. I will arrange everything again in another room and I'll see to it that the boy doesn't come and spoil. And she tried to take the child. The Brahmin said, okay, you are pleading so much, you arrange in a different place. Yashoda tried to take away the child while she was going. But the Brahmin said, so sweet he is. See how sweetly he is eating the payasam. So leave him alone. Let him be happy. Let him play with the payasam. Can't you see? He is eating with both his hands. And sometimes he is beating the vessel also with delight. It is such a delightful sight. By Narayana's grace, let him live long. Now Yashoda made arrangements in a different place. She again took bath, again arranged everything that she had done for the first time. And she told the Brahmin that I have arranged everything, close the door, offer to your Ishta. I will sit with the child in a faraway place, and only after you have finished I will come. Saying this, she went away with the child, who was smeared with payasam everywhere. The Brahmin started cooking, all the while reminiscing the supremely beautiful child's sport. And now what was it? The small child eating payasam. At the proper time, after finishing cooking, like he did before, he poured payasam on the golden plate and, keeping a tulasi leaf, offered it to Ishtadevata, closed the door, and went out to do mantra japa and contemplation. Thinking that Ishtadevata has accepted his offer, and after his contemplation was over, he entered the room and got talk of his life again. This time also, Yashoda Nandana is sitting like that and busy eating away the payasam. Brahmin was surprised. How this boy is coming again and again? And this time also, Yashoda has not controlled the child and kept him until the bhojana is over. I will tell Yashoda, I will leave now. It is impossible to do my worship and offer nivedyam to my Ishtadevata and then eat something. Again he called Yashoda. Now at that time, Nandagopa had come from his sabha. When the Brahmin came, Nandagopa was there, and after doing pranam to the Brahmin and worshipping in their own temple, he had gone to the assembly, Rajasabha. There, work is over, now he has come back. Seeing Yashoda, he asked whether the Brahmin has taken food, whether the Brahmin is taking rest now. Then Yashoda was narrating to him what all had happened. While they were talking, Nandanandana sleep got broken. And quietly, when the parents were busy talking to each other, he just crawled out and went away to where the Brahmin was cooking and started eating payasam again. So, the Brahmin, seeing it, started calling Yashoda again with excited voice. Hearing his angry and excited voice, both Nandagopa and Yashoda ran there and they discovered the child. And while going, they discovered that the child was not there in the room. So there was a great apprehension. Maybe the child has gone there again. They hurriedly went and found, as was their fear, the boy had hindered the offering to the deity. Nanda started scolding that very small child. Yashoda started crying and fell on the ground like an uprooted tree. Both felt that some inauspiciousness will fall on the child. But the Brahmin told them the boy is too small. He doesn't know good or bad. So he only knows that the payasam is sweet and it is very tasty. So he is again and again looking for the place where this payasam is getting cooked and coming and eating it. So don't scold him. Does he understand that he is hindering my worship and bhojana? He is not understanding that. Now, we all think that we can plan our activities and whatever we have planned, we can act accordingly. Now, I think the Lord doesn't feel that I should take food here today. We are planning, you are trying many times, but Lord has a wish that I will not take bhojana here today. So everything is getting hindered. So let me go. One thing is there, it is Madhyana, just noon. It is not right for any guest to come to a householder's house and leave without taking food. So you must be thinking that if I leave without food, some adversity will come to the family. Don't worry. I will do one thing. Whatever curd, butter, dried milk, etc. you have in your house, you give to me. I will eat that and leave. Nanda and Yashoda felt very relieved by this attitude, fell at his feet and prayed to him with folded hands. if you have forgiven us, O Lord, then give us chance for the third time. We will take all precautions. We will keep guard. We will lock him up in a room. But please give us a chance. Now the neighboring Gopas and Gopikas, they could understand something was happening here. So many of them came and stood there. And when they heard the story, they were also fearful that something bad will happen to Krishna and something bad may happen to the whole lineage. So they also started pleading with this Brahmin. So Brahmin had to agree to their request. Now Nandagopa said that we will guard here. All the Gopa and Gopis, they were alert. They stood guard. And Yashoda made all arrangements. Yashoda, after making arrangements, had taken away the small boy to another house far away. The Brahmin again got engaged in cooking. Outside that room, Nandagopa himself was standing guard. And everywhere, near every door, Gopas were standing, so that the child would not be able to come in any way. Brahmin got engaged in cooking, but the restless child who had caused hindrance to his worship, for whom Nanda and others stood guard, whom Yashoda has taken away to another house, he could not forget that restless boy. In his mind, he could not forget him. He could not forget the Bala Leela. He could not forget the payasam that he was eating with his both hands, smearing the payasam on his face and beating the vessel with 2 hands, and his fearful eyes and on seeing the Brahmin entering and discovering him. All those were filing past in front of his eyes. He was becoming oblivious of himself with all these thoughts. He was getting absorbed into himself, but his cooking was going on. Ultimately, the cooking was over, and as usual, he offered to his Ishtadevata, came out of the room, did mantra japa, contemplation, and after some time, when he felt that it was time to go inside now, he went inside. And as he opened the door, lo and behold, the same scene again. The small boy was eating the payasam. This time the Brahmin did not react. No reaction came to his mind, but his mind got filled with an unprecedented, unexperienced bhava. One Saundarya Rasadhara, a beautiful nectarine stream of beauty, incomparable. Through his eyes it flew, and it entered his own heart, flooded and inundated his mind and heart. A Saundarya Rasadhara, a beautiful nectarine stream of beauty, incomparable, through the eyes of the Brahmin, entered his own heart and flooded and inundated the mind and heart. The stone which was blocking his heart all these days was removed, and a very pure stream of Paramananda started coming out in the form of tears profusely. His body was filled with Romaharshana. Like an enchanted person, he closed the door and he started going near the little lad. Then this little boy, in very soft, gentle and sweet voice, as if he was pouring out nectar, told these words to the Brahmin. You are asking me again and again to eat this payasam, chanting your mantras. But whenever I am coming and trying to eat, why are you getting angry? He asked. He asked that it is you who is chanting the mantra and invoking me and asking me to eat whatever nivedyam you have given me. But when I am really eating, you are getting annoyed with me. Why? The Brahmin was startled. He shivered, and he was without any word. He was astounded and struck dumb with amazement. He thought, what is this boy saying? I am not able to understand anything. I am not in my senses, as if my indriyas are not working at all. Who is this boy? And then the Yashodanandana looked at the Brahmin's face with merciful eyes and said, are you not able to recognize me? To have my darshan, to attain me, for so many hundreds of janmas you have spent in intense contemplation, fasting, doing austerities throughout night and day. In this janma also you have been unbrokenly craving to have my darshan. But what a surprise! When I have come in front of you, you are not able to recognize me. You know, my dear, he tells the Brahmin, tells him, that is the truth in this world. Nobody wants to see me. Everybody wants, and they remain attracted to outside objects. Everybody remain attracted to the outside objects which give them short-lived pleasures. Nobody wants to see me. If at all somebody becomes interested in me and wants to attain me, they very often get stuck with their rituals, their mantras, their offerings and their dhyana. They are not able to go beyond that. They are not able to recognize me when I get revealed. And you are such a one, he said. For so many janmas with your dhyana, mantra japa, intense sadhana you have done. But when I have come near you, you are not able to recognize that I have come. You get annoyed with me. Okay, even though you did not recognize me, O Brahmina, I cannot stay back anymore. I thought it is time that I reveal myself. You have done lot of tapasya. I feel mercy on you. The Brahmin felt blessed to the core. By the grace of the Nandanandana, his eyes opened. He understood what mistake he was doing. He was carrying the rituals, the mantras, the japa mechanically, not doing it with his heart, not understanding and feeling the Lord who is in his heart. He was doing it as a regular practice with no love for it, no feeling for it. And he understood that this is what binds everybody. This is what make people not attain the Lord. And now he felt so blessed that the Lord himself has had mercy on him and has opened his eyes. Oh, there he is. There he is, the Prafulla Leela Shatadala, the Prafulla Neela Shatadala Vinindita Angachata. Prafulla Neela Shatadala Vinindita Angachata. What does it mean? Radiance from the body, which is like a blue lotus. That radiance from the Lord who is seated in the heart, this radiance will put to shame to any fully bloomed blue lotus. That radiance was illumining all directions. And that was coming from that Ishtadevata, his Dhyana Dheya Murti, contemplating on which he every day spends hours and hours. He was revealed to him and blessed him. Here is the same feet which I have been worshipping, the same anklet, the same waistband, the same dress, the same ornaments in the neck. And now those two hands are eating the payasam I have offered to him. That Brahmin did not know what to do, whether he should sing praises, whether he should chant hymns, whether he should fall at the feet of the Lord. He did not know if anything else had to be done. He could not think of anything. He just became a statue, like a statue of Paramananda. And in no time, the Murti vanished, disappeared. The Brahmin started feeling fulfilled, and he was full. He did worship, singing stutis, and he did dhyana. Then he went around the payasam. He took a little as prasadam, smeared it all over his body, and the leftover payasam he tied in his uttariyam. He thought, I could have stayed in this house, requested them so that I can stay here and see my Balagopala every day, but I will not do that. I will go away. Let not these people understand who their son is. Let me go away to a solitary place and let me revel in my vision, whatever I have seen and whatever the Lord has blessed me with. Let me be completely fulfilled. So he came out of the door. Nandagopa asked him, have you had your bhojana? He said, yes, I have had everything. I am full. And he blessed them. By that time Yashoda also had come. He blessed them and said, I bless you. Let everything be auspicious around you. Bring up your child well. Let him bring all kinds of happiness to you. And saying all that, he left. He did not leave. He blessed Nandagopa and Yashoda, said, let there be auspiciousness all around you. Look after this child very well, bring him up well. Let there be Ananda and Ananda. I am absolutely full. I want nothing. I just want to go and revel in my darshana of my Lord and be filled. Purna, I want to become. I have become Purna and I have understood what I should do. I must keep the Lord in my heart always. Feel Him always. Not only in my heart, everywhere, in everything, in this whole of the creation, I must see Him and feel Him. Sankirtyamano Bhagavan Anantaha Shrutanubhavo Vyasanam Hipumsam Pravishya Chittam Vidhunotyashesham Yatha tamorkobhram ivativataha Sankirtamano Bhagavan Anantaha Shrutanubhavo Vyasanam Hipumsam Pravishya Chittam Vidhunotyashesham Yatha tamorko bhramivativata. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru.